is moving in the unseen. The breath you exhale sustaining me. Before I call, you know my need. You're always going before me. I'm confident your faithfulness will see me through. My soul can rest, my righteousness is found in you. With every moment left and every borrowed breath, let this be true. That all my heart for all my life belongs to you.
Your laughter scatters my enemies. You give me joy for my mourning. You lift my head so I can see. All of heaven surrounding me. I'm confident your faithfulness will see me through. My soul can rest, my righteousness is found in you. With every moment left and every borrowed breath, let this be true. That all my heart for all my life belongs to you. I won't win this battle with the strength of my own hands. You're the mountain mover, and only you can. I won't build my life on sinking sand. You're my hope forever, the rock where I stand. I won't win this battle with the strength of my own hands. You're the mountain mover, and only you can. I won't build my life on sinking sand. You're my hope forever, the rock where I stand. The rock where I stand. All of the ground is sinking sand. All of the ground is sinking sand. I'm confident your faithfulness will see me through. My soul can rest, my righteousness is found in you. With every moment left and every borrowed breath,
true, that all my heart for all my life belongs to you.
Thank you to the praise team for doing all that work to get us past not having our wonderful leaders, Larry and Mary. I say Mary too because you can't do one without the other. We're going to be in Psalms 121. Now, this is kind of heavy on me. I'm going to try my best to give it to you and let it be heavy on you, because I don't want it on me anymore. But I sat down and I wrote a sermon, and I had it all ready, and then I went and decided to add to it. Before I got done, I had a different sermon, and then I marked out everything from the other one. And so then I got confused, and I don't even know what I got anymore. So this is either going to be 10 minutes or 2 hours. This is how you get a crowd to go from elated to deflated in 1 second. Y'all got excited about that 10 seconds, didn't you? Minutes. Psalms 121, verses 1 through 2, and if I go too long, y'all just get up and walk out. I don't care. I raised my eyes toward the mountains. Where will my help come from? Verse 2. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. We're going to look at two mountains. He's raising his eyes. He's looking up. Where will my help come from? He's looking up to the hills. He's looking up to the heavens. He's looking up to the one who is the maker of heaven and earth. We're going to look at two mountaintops. We're going to look at Mount Sinai, and we're going to look at Calvary. Because you can't go to Calvary unless you go through Mount Sinai. You cannot get to Jesus unless you first deal with Moses. We're going to look at the old covenant and the old law so that we can understand grace. When I was 18, my best friend at the time was in a car wreck, broke his neck at the highest vertebrae. He ran under an 18-wheeler. He was in hospital for 6 months, could not speak, could not communicate, paralyzed from neck down completely. Couldn't as much as move his shoulders. I was lost. He was lost. I went to visit him. He couldn't talk. He tried to mouth stuff to me. When I finally learned, because every Monday I would go spend the night with him in the hospital so his mama could go home. And what I finally started realizing, he was trying to tell me he got saved on the side of the road. Real dramatic story. Kind of stuff people like. And he said, God's told me to go around and give testimony. I said, okay, I don't even know what that is, but good luck to you. I hope you have a good time. And he said, and God told me you're going to go with me. Now that's when we had a problem. But I would do it for him. He said, I can't go alone. It's kind of like Moses, I can't speak. Well, here's Aaron. So I went to be moral support. We looked like a pair. We'd show up, for 2 years, we'd show up at churches on Sunday nights, different churches, different venues, and they'd set him up down there in his wheelchair, and I'd stand next to him like a goober and wait for him to tell his testimony. And I'd just stand there, not do anything, just stand there. Just eye candy, And we would do that for 2 years. And he would tell his testimony. And everybody, and then the preacher would get up, he'd be all inspired, and he'd be yelling at us and telling us how we need to get saved. And Kenneth was saying, you need to be saved. And everybody was saying you need to be saved. Nobody ever told me why. Never, ever did anybody, no preacher, nobody say what I needed to be saved from. Because I was pretty content with my life. I was happy. Nobody ever showed me what is this thing that we have to be saved from. Because I was of the mindset, if you're going to do the God thing, you just got to be a good person and not do too many bad things. And long as your bad doesn't outweigh your good, you'll be okay. The scales of justice, if you will. Islam teaches that. We've seen it in every culture. It's even in our churches. And it's the most unbiblical thing there is. I needed to know why you got to get saved. You know how a lot of times in church, and I've been guilty of saying it, and it hit me this morning. We'll say, what's the only thing to keep somebody from going to heaven when they die? Rejecting Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, not receiving Him as their Lord and Savior. And there's truth to that. What sends people to hell? Rejecting Jesus. Not accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior. You need to be saved. But you know what? That's not really what sends people to hell. What sends people to hell is the holiness of God. So I don't like that. It's biblical. Let's talk about the law. Okay? We were given the law. Now Moses went to Mount Sinai and God provided him what we call the law of the Old Testament, the Pentateuch, the Torah, the first 5 books of your Bible. That was all they had for a very long time. Moses gave them rules to keep, like the 10 Commandments and things like that. Not a lot gets said about the law, not in our churches today. We want to talk about love. We want to talk about grace. We want to talk about all this stuff. But you know, I'm going to contend with you this morning as we get into this. You can't understand or appreciate grace until you deal with the law of God. Bad news is that everybody is under the law. I'm sorry. I know we got churches, they're like, you don't even need your Old Testament. Just go to the New Testament. We'll just throw it out. We'll just preach the New Testament. So you can't appreciate Calvary until you go through Mount Sinai. You can't understand why you need to get saved until you understand you are under the law. What is the law? The law, one part of it is, it shows us how holy God is. That's why I said it's God's holiness that sends people to hell. Because God can't cease to be holy. And since God is holy, He can't turn a blind eye to sin. He can't give you the weekend off. He can't tell you, that's okay, you tried, you did your best. He wouldn't be holy. So you've got to have this holy God who has a set of rules. Now here's the problem, because we're bad to say in our churches, well, when I die, and I've heard in here and other churches and everything, and y'all have heard me say it 1,000 times, and I'll quit saying it when y'all quit saying it. I just hope when I get to the end I was good enough, or I did enough good. Let me tell you about the law. If you break any part of the law, you broke all of it. The law is a taskmaster. The law beats you into submission. The law is there to prove to you, you can't do it. You can't keep it. Don't raise your hand, but think about it. You ever told a lie? I told a little lie. I'm not a liar, but I told a little lie. Well, you broke all the law. It's like a glass pane. You break one little piece of it, the whole thing comes crumbling down. It breaks. You can't keep the law. But you're told you got to, if you want to be accepted by a holy God. This is the problem with the idea that, if I can just be good enough, when I die, maybe I'll get to go to heaven. This is not a biblical concept. That's a worldly concept. That's the concept of false religions. And it has no place in the church. We are people who break the law. You say, see, Jesus was talking to the Pharisees and He was telling them, hey, y'all think y'all are so good. Because the Pharisees were like, I've never committed adultery. I've never murdered anybody. I've never put anything unclean to my lips. I've never done anything. I have kept the law since my youth. It says that in the Bible in several places. And Jesus said, it's a heart issue. Because if you ever had anger or hatred towards somebody, you didn't murder them physically, but you murdered them in your heart. If you ever looked at a woman with lust in your heart, then you committed adultery in your heart. You see, it's not just the act of doing something bad. It's that we are corrupt within. And we desire, because of our flesh, we want to do bad. We like to do bad. We crave darkness rather than light. And when you break the law, there's one consequence for that law. You're going to be punished. And everybody in here is a lawbreaker. Everybody in here has lied. Everybody in here has murdered in their heart. Everybody in here has committed adultery. Everybody's done all this stuff. There is nothing even, and I'm just talking about a little section of the 10 Commandments, and we already weren't in this room. All it took. Much less all that other stuff. Much less all those other books. Much less all those other scriptures, chapters, and verses. Kind of depressing, ain't it? Isn't it sad? All right, y'all dismissed. Go have a good week. Y'all sinners and y'all going to hell. Y'all broke the law. The end. Well, I don't know if I agree with you, preacher. Romans 3:20. For no flesh will be justified in His sight. Talking about God's sight. God's not going to look at anybody. Nobody. No one will be justified in His sight by the works of the law. For through the law comes the knowledge of sin. The law is not given to you so you'll keep it. The law is given so you know you're a sinner. So when all these people kept telling me, you need to be saved, you need to be saved, and I didn't know what they were talking about because nobody had the guts to say, you are a sinner bound for hell. Why? Because if you say that, they won't come back. I'd rather you never come back than leave here believing a lie about how to be saved. Because I'd rather know that you were in glory in heaven because you were told the truth than you were in hell because you were lied to and told about grace and never told about the law. Told about Calvary but never told about Mount Sinai. Romans chapter 4:15. So the problem is the law doesn't save us. It condemns us. For the law produces wrath. But where there is no law, there is no transgression. See, the problem you and I got is there is the law. So the law produces wrath. We don't like that part of God either, man. That just doesn't fit with this loving God who loves us and cares and cares about my feelings and my emotions and cares about my troubles and cares about my burdens and cares about. If you are coming to Him without the grace of Jesus, you're under His wrath. Romans 5:10. For if we, while we were enemies, we were reconciled to God, here's the great part of this, through the death of His Son, then how much more, having been reconciled, will we be saved by His life? You see, what reconciled, what fixed it, what made it okay between me and God? It wasn't repeat this prayer after me so you can be saved, young man. Even though you don't know what saved from. You need Jesus even though you don't know why you need Jesus. You don't know why He died. You don't know why He did all that stuff. Let me appeal to any intellect that you may have. Why did He come and die if you could do it? I don't mean die, I mean live a good life. Why did He come and die on the cross if you could have been a good enough person to go to heaven? Paul said it's not by works, so that no one may boast. So Jesus wouldn't have had to die. I take you even further back. Jesus didn't have to come. He could have stayed and never set foot on this earth. So has to hit your brain somewhere. There must have been a reason why he had to come and why he had to die. The only thing that makes sense. This verse, we were enemies of God, and we were reconciled to God through the death of his Son, Jesus. You see, because God's holy and his law is unkeepable. You can't keep it. You can't do the perfection of it, but God could. And God came down here in the form of a man, the Lord Jesus, and lived a perfect, sinless life, died on the cross to take your place. Because you could not live up to God's standards. We say, oh, I'm better than this person, I'm better than this person, I'm better than... Who cares? You're not better than Jesus. That's the standard that none of us can live up to. He who knew no sin became sin. Our sin was put upon him. But this is the hope. And this is the thing that we cling to. And this is why we love to talk about the love of God. And we love to talk about the love of Jesus. And yes, rightly so, the grace and the love and the mercy that he has shown to give us a way out of the wrath from his holiness, from his law, should be sung about, should be talked about, should be preached, should be brought up. But you cannot ignore God's wrath. You cannot ignore the law. You cannot ignore that we are lawbreakers. The Bible calls us that a lot. That's not fun. We like to be called lawbreakers, sinners. But we are. Now, the law declares that God is holy. You can't understand how precious Jesus is until you fear God. Because it would be an awful thing to fall into the hands of an angry, wrathful God. And without Jesus, I dare say, and I've said this before to you, if you were in the presence of God without the shed blood of Jesus applied to your life, you would be terrified and you would beg him to send you to hell. You do not understand or appreciate the power and the magnitude of the holiness of God if you don't fear him. And you live your life like a fool, running around, living for you, living for the flesh, breaking his laws, and you think for a moment you will not answer. Because you think, well, maybe my good outweigh my bad. That's a lie. It's not of God. So yeah, you need to be saved. Saved from what? The holiness of God. Well, I don't want to go to hell. Don't worry about hell. You need to worry about God. You need to worry about the God whose wrath is upon us. So I don't like this stuff. It doesn't sound good. Well, the Proverbs said the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. It is that wisdom that will lead you to the shed blood of Jesus. If you're a fool, you don't fear God. See, Proverbs talks about being a fool. Preacher called us a fool. No, God called you a fool. You don't believe in God, don't have any fear of God, you're a fool. Just an all-out fool. But the beginning of wisdom comes with the fear of the Lord, which will lead you to appreciate and understand your need for Jesus. So I don't like that. Doesn't matter what you like, doesn't matter what you think. The holy God established it this way. I don't want to believe that. What you believe has no bearing on reality. This is what God did. This is how God set it up. This is how God established it. I'm just going to get in line with him. Because here's the thing I've learned over the years. When you go against God, God's like a freight train. He's going to run over you. You better get on board and not stand in the way. Getting on board is understanding I'm a sinner. I am wretched and I need Jesus. And that's why he's so precious. You don't value Jesus if you don't understand your sinful nature. You don't value the work on the cross if you don't understand what he did. So what is the law? I told you one part. The law is because he's holy. One thing the law does, the Bible teaches us, is the law exposes sin. You don't know it's sin. How do you know a moral standard? I hear all these people, you don't need the Bible to have a moral standard. Yeah, but your moral standard is not God's moral standard. So therefore, there's always these issues with people who come at us with moral standards that are not biblical. Because they're weak moral standards. They're just whatever's popular. You know, we want to get mad about certain things, but other things are okay. And with God, none of it's okay. So the law exposes sin. The law calls you to do something that's impossible. It just does. The law calls for you to have perfection. The perfection of God. Now let me ask, who all's got that? I'm just perfect, man. My wife thinks I'm perfect. You lying. There's no perfection. We strive, we try to achieve, we try to be more like Jesus, but the law demands it. Not that you try it, that you do it. And if you don't do it, you're condemned. The law is not your friend. The law is a very strict taskmaster. The law gives nothing for trying to be good. That's the whole thing. Well, if I can just be good enough, the law doesn't care. What did the Bible teach us? Your righteousness is filthy rags to God. The best you can do, the goodest you can be, and I know that's not good grammar. The best you can be the best you. There's books. Christian books. Be the best you. You know what the best you is? Wretched. Filthy rags before God. The best you can do is go to Jesus. There's no other way. I don't like that there's only one way. You're narrow-minded to think there's one way. Why do you think you deserve one way? You don't deserve any way. But see, that's the beauty that God loved you. See, the law doesn't accept a payment. There's no penance. This idea that, well, if I die, I might get to go pay a penance. I'll go to this place that's not in the Bible, and I'll live there until I work it out. Or I can go and die and my relatives can go be baptized on my behalf. Or I can go, there's none of that. The law does not receive payment for your holiness, for your perfection. The law demands it. Unrelenting. It breaks us. It shows us we're guilty. It's relentless. It crushes us. Under the weight of the law, you cannot live. And the law condemns you to hell. Thankfully, this God of wrath, this God of holiness, looked at mankind. And He had pity on us. Because He is a merciful God. And He knew you couldn't do it. He knew you couldn't be good enough. He knew you couldn't make a way. So He said, I'll do it. See, that's when you can start to appreciate Calvary. That's when you can start to appreciate that cross. That's when you can start appreciating the work that He did. Romans 3:23 through 26. For all have sinned and fall short. Don't you know that means nobody gets there? That means nobody can say, if my good outweighs my bad. Nobody, everybody falls short from the pulpit to the back of the church. Next verse. They are justified freely by the grace through the redemption that is Jesus Christ. God presented Him as a propitiation through faith in His blood to demonstrate His righteousness, because in His restraint, God passed over the sins previously committed. God said, they can't do it, but I can do it. He presented Him, Jesus, to demonstrate His righteousness at the present time so that He would be righteous and declare righteous the one who has faith in Jesus. Stay right there for a second. You hear that last part? Is it not amazing that you just went from a wretched sinner who there's no hope, nothing but condemnation, but then God made a way so that you could be as righteous as Him, even though you're not. I'm not. I'm definitely not. I'm probably the chiefest of sinners in here, okay? I just got tasked with telling you you're a sinner. But I don't lose sight that I'm a sinner. How What amazing God we have. What a wonderful God. He found a way in His infinite wisdom and knowledge to remain holy and give you an out for your sins, without diminishing the fact He's holy, without Him having to compromise, without Him ceasing to be holy. Because if God says, your sin is okay, you're a good feller, you've been trying hard, we'll just let you on in, God ceases to be holy. But God says, I'll come and I'll live and I'll die for you, and I'll be resurrected in the power of the resurrection. And if you just ask, you can receive, and you will be set free, and you will be made righteous, the ones who have faith in Jesus. There's no other. So the Calvary is where forgiveness flows. Galatians chapter 2, verse 16. Yet we know that no one is justified by the works of the law. Talking about that earlier. But by faith in Jesus Christ. So you can't be good enough. And we have believed in Jesus so that we might be justified by faith in Christ and not by the works of the law. They can't justify you. Because by the works of the law, nobody will be justified. Nobody. So stop with all the, if we can just be good enough. Stop with all the, if I just try harder. Stop with all the, if my good outweighs the bad. There's nobody. God's not going to look at anybody and go, boy, you were kind of good. Come on in. God's not going to look at you and go, you know what? I didn't even need to come down there and die for you. I didn't even need to do that. You've proved me wrong. Look at you. Go brag all over heaven. No, Paul says so no one can boast. Next verse, Philippians 3:8. More than that, I also consider everything to be a loss in view of the surpassing value of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord. Because of Him, I have suffered the loss of all things and considered them filth or dung. If you got the right version, it says dung. So that I may gain Christ. What is Paul saying? Paul is saying, I did everything to keep the law. And it was dung. It was filth. It was trash. It was animal waste compared to gaining Jesus. Next verse, Galatians 3:10. For all who rely on the works of the law are under a curse. See, if you're going to do this out of Jesus, you're cursed. Because it is written, cursed is everyone who does not continue doing everything written in the book of the law. And I dare say, ain't nobody in this room doing that. I know enough about my human nature and human nature in general to know we don't achieve this. The law is simply a revelation of how holy God is. Romans 2:15. We're almost done. They show that the work of the law is written on their hearts. What do we say? Well, there's people that don't even know the law. There's people that don't have the law. What about all those people that hadn't heard about Moses and heard about the law? It's written on their hearts. There's no excuse. Nobody will be without excuse. And I heard a lady one time, and I've shared this, tried to witness to her, and she told the person, I don't want to know, don't tell me, so when I die, and if there is a God and I stand before Him, I won't be held accountable because I can plead ignorance. There's no ignorance. There's no ignorance. And when you push somebody that doesn't even know the Bible, they do know. Where do you think that conscience comes from? Where do you think that little something in every human being that tells them, now they might go do it, but they know it's wrong. The law is written on their hearts. Their consequences testify in support of this. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Next verse, Matthew 5:17. Don't assume, this is Jesus. This is in the red. Don't assume that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. You see, that's why you can't do away with it. That's why you can't have a church that never wants to talk about law and condemnation of God and judgment of God, but they want to tell everybody, you just need Jesus. He's going to be a friend to you. Just pray to receive Him. He'll make your life better. You'll be happier. You'll be financially secure. He'll fix your marriage. He'll fix your life. You'll feel better all the time. Why? Because you are condemned. And you need Jesus. Jesus didn't come to abolish it. Jesus didn't come so churches can throw the Old Testament out. Jesus didn't come so that we could ignore that part of Scripture. You can't have Calvary without that experience of Moses on that mountaintop with God finding out what sin is and how holy God is. You can't have salvation without condemnation. It's impossible. So we need Jesus. You can't come to Jesus to be saved until you go to Moses to be condemned. You just can't. You need to be saved from what? Am I in danger? Is something after me? No, you just need to be saved. Why? Because Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you, so you need to be saved. Why? I always asked why. It wasn't enough. For 2 years, I stood there next to that boy in that wheelchair as he told everybody they needed to be saved. And all those preachers got up to be saved, said you need to be saved. And people asked me afterwards, after I was saved, how'd you sit there and listen to all that time and never get saved? I said, nobody ever told me why. I felt no need for what they were talking about. Didn't matter. Didn't matter if it was a little church with 25 people. Didn't matter if it was a big church that had like 400 people. We were in all of them. Didn't matter to me. I didn't care. I didn't need to get saved just because Jesus loves me. I thought I was a pretty good guy. What's wrong with me? I ain't never murdered anybody. It's not like I'm an expert. I just love my family, go to work, pay my taxes, be supportive, don't try to do any wrong to anybody. Why do I need to be saved? That's for those crackheads. That's for those prostitutes. That's for those people that abuse their families. That's for those really bad people. Because those were the testimonies we always heard, by the way. I used to be this and I used to be that, and Jesus saved me, and that's wonderful and that's great. But I wasn't that bad. You cannot tell a sinner they need to be saved until you tell them why. And I want you to know, God is holy. God must condemn sin. God loves you, and He made a way of escape. His name is Jesus. You need to realize today, you don't have to walk out of here in your sin. You do not have to walk out of here the way you came in. Father, we thank you for salvation. We thank you for Jesus. We thank you for the grace. We thank you for the sacrifice. We also thank you, God, that you are holy. And we do not ignore that. We acknowledge it. Lord, we understand more now how precious the Lord Jesus is. If you need Jesus, or if you got a burden on your heart for somebody that needs Jesus, just step out. Come down here and pray. Say, Lord Jesus, I need you. That's all you got to do. It's not a big flowery prayer. It's not anything fancy. It's not a ceremony. You don't have to. You just say, Lord, I need you. I need you in my life. I need to be declared righteous by your work, your shed blood upon me. I am an object of the wrath of a holy God. If you need to do business with Him or pray for someone who is lost, I want to give you that time. Will you